I am just really excited. I'm so full of joy. And we're going to start, and I'm going to just be really frank and to the point. But before I get started, I have this bag full of goodies. And Richard, will you just take it and pass it around? Don't look in it, but just withdraw something out of it, okay? Thank you. And while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am Juanita Davis, and I'm with the Jackson Medical Mall Foundation. And I work for a program called Care for Me Services, which I created in 2014. We've been in existence for 10 years, but that was after a long stint of me working for other agencies, and I've been in the field for 38 years. And with that, I have found that there's so much that have been accomplished, but at the same time, there's still so much more that we need to do. And so I welcome you all here today, and I'm just going to go through these slides very quickly just to give you an overview of who we are and what we're about. Our mission is to reduce new cases of HIV and STDs, doing whatever we need to do to make that happen in the great state of Mississippi. This program was created to serve as a bridge in the gap in educational services for HIV and other STDs. And we initially started doing programs for gay Black men in the community in Hinds County. But since then, we have expanded across the state of Mississippi, and we have added programs to our programs already. So with that said, we want to make sure that we serve as a prevention and linkage resource and promote the importance of testing, PrEP, doxy-PEP, and community wellness, and we want to do that holistically. We started off doing community health workers. We did trainings for community health workers to make sure that people in the community who looked like the epidemic had the information to give information to other people. These are our basic services. We have the Test to Know, it's a mobile unit, and we test across the state of Mississippi. We have the Unified Spot, which is a safe place over time. It's located in this building. And we also have one in Belzoni, Mississippi, with a focus on wellness, empowerment, and leadership. Care for Women, creating a resource of enrichment for women, a network of support, and we do it diligently. We have the C-STEP Community Syphilis Testing and Education Program. Those are the key programs that we have, and we provide the services accordingly. But with this is our mobile, this is the van, and I want you to know that we got the mobile out of the garbage and we got the van out of the garbage, but we keep rolling. I just want you to know we don't play, we roll every day. These are just some pictures of the stuff that we're doing in the community. That's what we do. This is the Spot, which is a safe place over time, and over time we want everyone to have a safe place where they can go and talk and have those conversations that sometimes you don't feel safe in having those conversations. This is a picture of the Spot that's upstairs. It's kind of cute, huh? We still decorating, we just moved into that area. When we first started, one of the programs that we had was called 5 Voices Over 6, and it was created from an array of programs that I had done training for the CDC and the AECT training programs. And I took bits and pieces, but I wanted to make sure that young men had what they needed, and this was a 5 session, and they did some research on this to show how efficacy, how important it was and what it did to improve the livelihood of the young men that went through the training. Again, this is our network of support for women, and we also have a summit every year. How did we get here? Black women, how did we get to where we are today? And we do that every year. We've been doing it for 3 years. It's a great program. That one? Okay. And I can send you these slides, the background information, if you like.
That'd be great. I'll make sure everyone gets them.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that's us in a nutshell. We serve the community. Oh, I'm going back too far. And so Your speaker today came and did our National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day program, which was a wonderful event. And you see love there. We're doing a podcast, Unmasking Stigma with Love. We also have done drives for voter registration and getting people acclimated to voting and understanding why it's important for them to vote. These are some of our billboards that you may see across Jackson and in the Delta. I'm just showing. Now this is our group and this is our 10th year anniversary celebration. Now, to the real nitty-gritty. HIV facing the crossroads of faith and racism. That's a lot. And I kind of get emotional when I talk about this because as a woman as old as I am, a black woman at that, living in Mississippi, some of you may not understand the depths of this and what it means. As a little girl, I can remember going to the doctor and not understanding why I had to go to the door that said colored only. It made me feel less of what I was at that time and had questions about it then and was inquisitive, but every time I would ask my parents, don't say anything, keep it quiet. And I didn't understand that. But I want you to know I've still been talking and they didn't stop me then and they're not gonna stop me now. But I'm just saying, I just had that in me because I wanted to understand why I was different than someone else and why I had to go through the side or the back door as opposed to the front door. So in 2019, we had a program called Speak Your Truth. And we had individuals who had lived experiences, and they would actually go and present information about themselves to people. And we learned to let them express themselves any way they wanted to about their living conditions. And it just kept growing because everywhere we went, we would always go back to test, and when we would go back to test, we would have an overflow of people based on what the people in the Speak Your Truth group had said prior to. And at some point, our governor then had declared April as Confederate month. But when he got some pushbacks, he decided to name October as Race Reconciliation Month. So, thus born HIV at the crossroads of faith and racism. And so we started having that every October to express how we felt about HIV and how race and our religion played a part in it in terms of increasing the race and understanding that we live in the Bible Belt and there are some things that you just could not say. Even when I was presenting at an early age in 89, I was always confronted about don't say certain words, or when you come, don't bring anybody that's gay, don't bring anybody that's living with HIV because we don't want the church to get it or we don't want the school to get it. So with so much information that was not available at the time. So I persevered and I tried to make sure that everybody understood, and I'm just gonna break it down like this. I try to let people know what HIV is, what it ain't, how you can, and how you can't. That was my little pep talk. We're gonna talk about it on the court and breaking it all down. So we did this religiously every year to bring awareness about how faith and racism was a part of HIV. We can't separate it. And I'll go back and tell you this story. My very first employee that I hired was a young gay man, very smart, very intelligent, and he was living with HIV, but I did not know. And it did not matter. But I also knew his partner, and his partner was a white male. And we had a close relationship. And as we went through the years, I remember him calling me one morning saying, I can't come to work because I'm in the hospital. And he said, I'll be there. Don't give my job away. I'll be there as soon as I get out. I'm gonna be okay. He didn't come that day. He didn't come the next day, and I'm gonna get a little bit emotional. He called me about 3 days later, and he said, they found out what was wrong with me. They said I had histoplasmosis. He never told me that he was living with HIV. But when he told me he had been diagnosed with histoplasmosis, I knew what was wrong. And he kept that from me, but I respected it. But what I want to say about that part is that his partner was also living with HIV, and he was a white male. He had not been sick, but he went and he applied for Medicaid, and he got it right away. Eric, I didn't mean to call that name. My friend, on the other hand, had gotten sick, had been in the hospital, and he still could not get on Medicaid, and he could not get the benefits. And I don't want to say it was racism, but it was some kind of ism. But he could not receive the benefits that he needed to sustain life. He had been diagnosed with histoplasmosis, and shortly after that, he demised. And for that, I persevered because I didn't want to see another young man or a young woman go through any of that. I encouraged his partner to write a book to explain the differences in the discrimination in terms of him not getting his Medicaid, and he was getting everything plus, and even getting a check. But it was denied to him. And so I reckoned with that for many years, and understanding that no one should be not denied benefits because of the race of their skin or their cultures, but it had happened early on. And so when I talk about racism and faith as it crossed the intersection of HIV, it lives here in Mississippi, even though it's much better, but it still exists. I need some tissue. So, in the great state of Mississippi as of 2023, this is the breakdown of the race in our state. 57.36% white, 37.53% Black or African American. But when you look at, thank you, when you look at the breakdown of HIV, look at the last bullet. Blacks and Hispanic residents are disproportionately impacted by HIV in Mississippi, making up 78% who have contracted HIV. That should not be. Out of over the 9,915 people living with HIV in our state, the majority of them are African Americans. I showed those slides because what is the difference? Why is it that African Americans, Hispanics are at a greater risk? or have the highest rates. The last time, the little information that I know about having sex, everybody does the same way. It doesn't matter your color, it's the same way, right? What's the difference? Why are we disproportionately impacted with HIV? Why? What do you think? One reason, okay?
Because of our living situations, drugs,
Living situations, drugs,
lack of jobs,
lack of jobs. Anyone else?
Our environment.
Our environment.
I want to just point out some of the vulnerabilities that it was talked about. We have different vulnerabilities that I think our white counterparts
Okay, okay.
and he mentioned about a couple of them, if they could.
So,
It could be the zip code that's not
okay.
vulnerability.
And so we are in zip code 39213 right now. This is where the Jackson Medical Mall is situated, and the Capitol Street is so many blocks on down the road. We have some of the highest rates of anything that you want to have right here in zip code 39213. And there's one big word that fits in all of it: poverty. The social determinants of health that's impacted because we, as a black race, don't have the financial background or situation. We don't have the adequate housing. Is so many other things that's underlying that puts us at risk. And then when you think about living arrangements and you're living with someone and they're making you sleep on the floor, but you still got to pay them rent, and then when they get ready they can have sex with you any way they want to, it's a problem within our society. We must do better. When I first started doing this in '86, I stumbled upon it because I was working as a WIC coordinator, nutritionist at the Jackson Hinds Comprehensive Health Center in my hometown. I saw too many young black girls coming through to get the WIC services with children. And I didn't know anything about STDs or HIV or anything until one of them came to me and said, the doctor told me I had gone or something. And in order for me to help her, I had to get the information to give to her. And that's when I stumbled upon HIV. And it was not about black people then. It was white, gay men. But then it soon changed and my heart dropped because the first real person that I saw living with HIV was a young white girl, 18 years old. I had spoken at did a presentation, and she walked up to me and she said, I want to help you. I don't want anybody else to have what I have. And I didn't know what she was talking about, and then she started to cry. And I'm knowing the information that you can't get it from casual contact. And she began to approach me, and I was like bagging up, and she was crying, and I was crying, and I was like, okay, sister, let's go in the bathroom because we don't want nobody to see us. I knew the information, you understand? I had gone through so many trainings. I knew that you could not get HIV for me standing up talking to someone, but I was literally afraid, not knowing what she had gone through. And when she told me her story, we worked together for many years, and that young lady is still living, and I'm so proud of her. She's gone through any type of research that she's gone, and she's thriving. But she gave me hope, and she put a path. A white girl gave me the inspiration to continue to do what I need to do, in addition to Eric saying, I need to lie to you because I don't want you. I'm ashamed to live with HIV. I'm ashamed to die with HIV because I'm a black man. So they inspired me, but then later on I saw this black lady and I was like, okay, wait a minute, they done lied to us, they done told us it's in one population, it's not. But what happened, the message was not getting to us. We didn't know. It was the delayed reaction. Do you understand what I'm saying? It was the delayed reaction. I was in the middle of it trying to fix. We didn't have information to give to people in our community. I was making all types of informational packages, and for you all to know that the first homegrown flyer done, a booklet, a pamphlet done in the great state of Mississippi, I created it, and it was stupid then, but I don't think, and it said don't travel the one-way street called HIV or cause AIDS. And I was like, I look at it now and I said, what was that about? Don't go down that one way, because HIV is not a death sentence. You can live. So our message, the message to us was delayed. Why was it delayed? And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this to my whole heart. If everybody who had HIV looked like the young lady that walked up to me, do you think we would be in this situation now? There's so many improvements, and I come to this because when we talk about our faith, I don't talk about faith from a religious standpoint of view. It's got to be about who you trust, who you believe in, the confidence that you have in someone else, because sometimes our religion hurts. Did you know that religion can hurt and destroy people? I remember as a young girl in the Baptist church, going around welcoming someone into the church. And the pastor, when I shook his hand, he stretched in my hand. And I was like, and when I told, my mama said, no, you can't say that, don't. I'm like, you better tell somebody, because if he did it again, we're going to fight in the church. I should have said something out loud, because that was the kind of girl I was. You know, I was that kind of girl. I was going to say it. So she would always, shh, don't. We need to stop pushing things under the rug and saying. So, and that hurt me. But when I hear stories from young men who say that they were molested by someone from the church and nobody said anything. Before I started the spot, and the reasoning behind the spot is because I did a class called Artists, the CDC's public health intervention, public health strategy. And in this particular class, there were 10 individuals. 8 were transgender and 2 were males, gay black men. And there's one question that you ask at some point in your life, and you were at your lowest point. What did you find in yourself? What inner strength did you have to pull you up and get you to where you are today? It was quiet. And when everyone started to talk, it was the same story. It was the same hurt. Everybody said the same thing. I was told I was ugly. I was told I'm no good. I was molested by the preacher. I was molested by a deacon. I was molested by my uncle. And they told me they didn't love me. And I thought that was okay because someone from the faith community, from my church, had violated me. And I didn't know how to help or what to say. But my next question, when everybody finished, I said, what can I do, or what can we do to make it better? And they may not have said the same words, but the same message came across. We need a safe place. We need a place that we can feel safe in, that we can talk, so we can be empowered, so we can do better, so we can know better. And that's how the spot was created, based on those conversations, because of the religious faith part had hurt them. And that was that. So then you can have a person or thing or concept. I've heard so many stories about how they trusted and believed in someone in their family or a lover, and it was not what it needed to be. Faith hurts. Church can sometimes hurt. That girl said time. Okay. Stigma, prejudice, and discrimination. Stigma is another problem. And there's so much self-induced stigma. We have to do better. And I put these three words up because they go together. Stigma. You can have prejudice, and prejudice having those feelings that you don't like somebody, you want to do something, but you don't act it out. But when you start to act it out, that's when the discrimination comes in, based on you identifying or having thinking there's a stigma associated with someone. My time is up. Y'all want me to just stop because I'm. So, prevention and efforts and criminalization of HIV and all of this, I'll just send you all of this information, but I do want to point out something for the new diagnosis rates in the state of Mississippi. In 2022, Hinds County has always been #1. But now Hinds County is #4 because there's a lot of activities taking place in Hinds County. But Adams is #1, which is down Natchez area, your hometown. Pike County, #2, just before you get to the Louisiana borderline. Kahoma in the Delta, and then Simpson County is #5. So those things have changed. And so I will end with this. Some of the factors that contribute to HIV epidemic in Mississippi is a government policy issue such as a disproportionate program funding. If the funding is not to the right people who are going to do the work, then you don't have the people reaching the people that need to be reached like us. We have to do more. And then we also need to educate everybody, because HIV is not for just gay black men. It can happen to anyone. Social economic issues such as widespread poverty, housing insecurity, and the lack of access to care. Cultural issues such as homophobia and social stigma. And with that, that is my conclusion, and I will send you all this, and I do apologize for my emotional state, but at the end of the day, your faith is your faith, and at the same time, your discrimination, the racism in what you experience on a daily basis, you have to find a way to deal with it. And I don't know what we can do about it, because everybody needs to love everyone. And I thank you for that.
But I am welcoming both our in-person crowd and our live stream audience for the rest of today's program. And to introduce our keynote speaker is Sean Fortenberry, TRP-Mississippi co-chair.
Welcome back. Come on, wake up. Let's wake up. Give us some energy. I am really, really honored in introducing the next keynote speaker, a person whom I admire. Once I first met him, I think a year or so ago, we were doing a project in Jackson, and he found interest in what we were doing, took some time out of his schedule on his off day took me throughout his community, or a community that is in his district, showed me around, showed me the needs that he was interested in doing, and in doing so, we met a couple of his constituents who were just totally into what he was trying to accomplish, and I am so proud to be able to introduce him. Fabian Nelson, come on up.
Thank you so much. All right, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? All right, I truly apologize for my tardiness this morning. Had an issue that I could not get around, but I'm here. I am here. And so I just want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. This is what activism looks like, and this is what caring for your community looks like. You know, the theme of this event is long-term survivors. I'm not going to say survivors, I'm going to say long-term heroes, thriving through the storms and leading with love. Before I get started, I'm going to say a few important things to you. Number one, you are important. You are loved. You are not alone. And you have someone fighting like hell for you every damn day. You know, I want to talk about legislation that's affecting HIV healthcare, and you know how it plays a key role in the lives of every single one of us. Because I got to build a foundation before I really get into the message. And I'm gonna have a call of action for everybody as well. So we got to talk about access to healthcare services. I know everybody's familiar with the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, which was signed by one of the greatest presidents we ever had, President Barack Obama. Now, you know, this did something very unique because before the ACA, with pre-existing conditions and problems, they could deny you insurance coverage. But now with the ACA, they cannot tell you no. They cannot raise your premium up because of a pre-existing condition. I also want to give credit to the Ryan White Foundation, which does so much, not only for Mississippians, Tennesseans, everybody all across the country. Without this amazing organization, we would be in the dark ages still. Something that affects Mississippi, which I know everybody heard about this last few months, or last year rather, was Medicaid expansion. Yeah, that's right. It's been such a long time. Now, a lot of people are discouraged and disgruntled by what's been going on. You know, I'm upset about it, but we have to be proud that for the first time, we have finally got legislation introduced in both chambers to expand Medicaid. We didn't get it passed. That's right, this time. It was not a good bill. It wasn't the best bill, I shall say. It was a good blueprint. But you know what? We are going to get it passed. We're going to keep on fighting until we get it passed. I want to also talk about the National Institute of Health, which funds a lot of different things, a lot of studies, a lot of programs and things of that sort. And also the CDC. All of these organizations have been paramount into ending this epidemic, and we have to make sure that we are continuously supporting them. Now I'm gonna go on down a little bit, and I'm gonna talk about stigma reduction, because that's one thing that's keeping us in the dark. We have to break down those barriers and the stigmas, as well as all of the misinformation from the 1990s and the 1980s. If we can do that, that will take us a long way. And you know, if we want to stop a problem, what do? We attack it head on. When we talk about prevention, when we talk about PrEP and access to PrEP, and that's under attack right now. As you know it, a lot of insurance companies are saying that, hey, we don't want to cover PrEP. We fighting with federal government right now. They're trying to get PrEP as one of the excluded medications. And so we have to talk about prevention and criminalization of HIV. And when we talk about lost my train of thought here. But when we're talking about criminalization, the reason, I got a twin over here. But you know, when we talk about that, here in Mississippi, we have so many bad criminalization laws. That's what's stopping so many people from getting tested. Because in Mississippi, if you know, then you have to tell people. You have to disclose your status. And a lot of people say, well, I would rather just not know, because if I don't know, then I won't get in trouble by the law. We gotta get rid of that so that people will feel comfortable going out and getting tested and going out and get the proper treatment. So those are just some things. All right, now it's time to get down to business. So long-term survivors thriving, or I need to say long-term heroes, thriving through the storms and leading with love. Every single one of us has faced challenges in life. You know, some monumental, and some can feel like a relentless storm. So it could be personal trials, health issues, societal upheaval, or global crisis, which one we just went through a few days ago, this past Tuesday. But it's gonna be okay. But you know, navigating through these turbulent times is what makes us stronger. You know, when you have the bad times, that's what helps you appreciate the good times when they come about. Our storms don't define us. You know, what defines us is how we respond to them, our endurance, and how we weather these storms. I want to talk about, let's think about a tree, for instance. So what happens with trees whenever it rains, storms, wind blows, what the tree bends this way, tree bends that way, but it doesn't break, right? When we're going through trials and tribulations, that's what we do. We bend, but we don't break. Our leaves may fall off of us, but guess what?